Let me fix the curtains behind me.
Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. We pay homage to his teachings, to his blessings on this earth, to the support he gives us. We pay homage to the Sangha. We pay homage to the Dhamma. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I'm in the dark again. We just don't have
I think now is good, huh?
any light. There we go. Okay. We have a repetitive something here. Yeah, Otswitz, I don't know who you are, but you got to go away. Okay, there. Now, today, I'm 3 days late and $1 short. This week was actually Mental Health Week. It was Mental Health Day, I guess, the first day of the week. And
in October last
sort of
week is
slept
the day.
through it. And basically, why am I someone who gets concerned about that? Well, before I was a nun, I had a breakdown at 41 years old and went into the system. And my curiosity taught me a lot about the system. And when I came out crawled out, I should say, and came back from the breakdown, I knew a lot. And I was put with in our country, we have a system where we have support groups, which can be wonderful and can be horrible either way. And I had some experiences with that and decided to help women to have support groups, which I did for a while. But then I basically made a commitment to the support group I was involved with, that I wanted to be an advocate for people who had depression and didn't know what was happening to them. Sounds strange. And so I declared myself an independent citizen advocate for mental health. So what was my job? The organization that helped me to do this what they did was they paid for me to go to Richmond if I had to speak to legislators, or they paid for my transportation to go places that I needed to talk to representatives about improving healthcare for the mental hospitals. There was a lot of funny stuff going on, and we needed to report it to the public. So we started a newspaper called the Free Press of Virginia, which I don't even think you can find it on the internet anymore anywhere. But that what they did was they helped me to get the word out. So the prerequisite was if you had a depression that was very serious and you got arrested, for instance, and then you had to have an attorney involved. It was pretty pathetic what was happening because the attorneys were volunteer attorneys for pro bono work, and they didn't care about you and they didn't care about your case. They just cared about doing pro bono work and leaving. And so I was an interrupter, which I kind of like. to interrupt things and stir them up and change them. So that's what I was doing. And I got into the World Health Organization statistics. I got into what's called NIMH, the National Institute for Mental Health. And those two sources, they keep track of everything. So what we're going to talk about basically is the situation of the topic, just even the topic of mental health, because it gets interesting at the very front door. It gets interesting. For instance, Maria might have a broken arm, and we might tell everybody you have a broken arm. Or we might tell somebody that Dhamma Gavesi has a stomach disorder, or he has some kind of disease, and we talk about it. There's nothing problem, nothing wrong. It's part of your body, right? But for some reason, mental health falls into the category that cancer fell into before we knew the markers for cancer. Now we have a list of 10 things. If you want to check and see if you have cancer, you can look at these 10 points with the American Cancer Society, and you will learn about cancer, and that cancer is dis-ease of the body, the same as Maria's broken arm. But we're still stuck, because from here up, we don't want to talk about our head. And we don't want to talk about the things that can happen in our head that can disrupt us. So how disruptive do you think? How disruptive do you actually think that this mental health issue can actually be? And there are statistics nowadays that countries keep very close track of. Mainly it's because they want their gross national product, the gross national amount of money for their country. They measure everything that way. So the first thing we look at in America is 518 million adult Americans have depression. Let that sink in. 2.8% of the population over 18 years old is taking drugs for tension and stress and depression. They're not working. This is the country's biggest problem. The drug rate for getting on a drug for the depression, the medical onset is from 25 years old. You're probably taking something to calm you down. And this is a tremendous amount of damage. And then they close in, figure this out. Well, 2/3 of the people that have this depression have someone else in their family who has it too. So they're seeing a connection, a hereditary connection. So we have something that is trackable this way, okay? And worldwide, women tend to have more what we call episodes. An episode lasts a long time, like a week long or something like that, or more. But men have it come and punch you and take away your time and interrupt work and like that. But women, why? Well, all you have to do is look at how women run the world. What do? We clean, we purchase things for you. We take care of you when you're sick. All these things we are thinking about, not just winning the bread with one occupation, going out and supplying the family with support with one way, but across the board, we have however many of you there are in the family to take care of. So we have a broad base. So this is our situation. So what we're looking at is this situation with a subject that is taboo. Taboo. Meaning we're not allowed to talk about this to the neighbor. We're not allowed to talk about it openly, and a lot of people don't, and they need to be. So what happened? What happened with depression was eventually we do have markers, okay? I'm just going to read these markers to you. Similar to what they tried to do with cancer, saying there's 10 markers, they tried to come up with pointers that would help you to find the person that is beginning to suffer from the depression. Okay? And just remember when we're talking about this too, we're just talking about this dis-ease, the lack of ease in the body and the mind. And so we're discussing something openly so that we understand how it works exactly. Because how can you fix it if you don't know how it works? You can't fix it. Simple. Can't fix it if you don't know how it works. So here are your signs. The person that you're dealing with starts thinking too fast. They start having a racing mind. And you're talking to them about things and you notice there's some kind of stress with them because they're talking really fast. Another one is the person can actually appear to be high, like high on a drug without drugs. Without drugs, they can start feeling really high and wacky, and sounding unreasonable, but it doesn't have anything to do with drugs. It all of a sudden starts happening. Another one is acting impulsively, and that one has to do with all levels of the bipolar disorder, because spending a lot of money suddenly, engaging in that is a marker, it's a pointer. I'm not here again. Okay. Suddenly starting to gamble excessively with things that are important. You're risking things all of a sudden that you wouldn't normally risk at all. Being argumentative in situations where normally you would sit down and talk over things. In a living situation with other people or a relationship, you stop doing that and you start arguing your point. Your point becomes more important than listening to different points. And the last one is deciding to do something that's unsafe, and people around you can see that you're going to do something that's unsafe, like take a shower and get water in your ear and it won't come out. Like, feel bad. Not very good thing to do, but I can't get it out. Okay, anyway, so those are the markers that they came up with so far. Not saying we're finished, but so far, that's what you're going to find in a brochure or something. Now, let's flip back this little paper and go over a little outline that Bunty and I talked about. Why are we so concerned about people who have this depression issue? And if we back up to the smallest point, I think where we went when we were talking was we asked a question. Who are the future owners of this earth? Who are the future owners of this earth? Is it me? Is it you? Or is it going to belong to somebody younger? So we have a responsibility to look at this issue carefully, because we're dealing with who is going to be taking care of the earth in the future. And it's our children. It's our children and our grandchildren. Now, when we look at this, we have to say, are we powerless when it comes to handling depression, or can we be powerful? This is a question that comes back to the cancer too, doesn't it? Yeah. If I say I have cancer, people will say, oh, I hope you get better. I hope you feel better by Monday. Cancer is a broad-based condition, and it's going to take an adjustment of life to deal with it. And it takes us to an energy discussion. Are we going to decide when something changes with our body in the present time that we are helpless, or are we helpful? Are we powerless or powerful? That's the two choices here. And I made a personal decision with cancer. I've talked to you about it before. And when I made that decision, I affected people in the hallway that were waiting to see their doctors too. Because when they saw me start smiling and laughing and joking, they thought for a moment, maybe there's another angle to look at where we are when we have a terminal disease. Are we gone, or are we still here? And if mind is the forerunner of all states, can we change how we deal with things? And the answer is yes, we're very powerful. So this personal decision is what this is. To contradict powerless takes us to another discussion, karma. And the karma discussion has to do with action. So karma means action. What you put in your mind, that's what comes back to you. Yeah. Do you really understand that Siddhartha Gautama figured this out? Do you understand? Oh yeah, I get it. I get it. Well, do you really get it? You create your experience every day in this existence. You bring out a blank piece of paper, a white piece of paper, tack it on the wall, and create a day every day of your life. You're powerful. Your day can be orange, yeah, it can be orange. It can be pink and purple, or it can be black and gross kinds of greens and copper colors and oh, yuck. Or it can be yellow and bright like the sun. So even if you're ill, even if you have a condition that is long-term, why can't we just test what Siddhartha found? Because what goes in your mind comes out of your mind and creates your experience. So it's a challenge. Now it becomes a game. Who is it that's inheriting the earth? The future owner of the earth. And that means whoever is inheriting the earth, let's define this, is going to control the social psychology on the planet across a whole entire species of human beings. We are the ones who are going to determine that situation. We have the power to do that. We just don't know it. It's like we haven't been taught. We've been taught a whole bunch of other things. This is why I keep sending you to Jeremy Griffith. Go and listen, at least listen to get yourself through the interview. The interview itself sounds kind of wacky, but if you listen to it 2 or 3 times, it's not wacky. He's discovered, he's uncovered what Siddhartha uncovered. He's found out that you're powerful. The human being is powerful enough to create his experience, and the science is what's exciting. Now we get to science. In the present time, if we were to take, remember the ice cream cone? I always tell you, deductive reasoning goes down from here, goes down, yeah? And it comes from the top down to the bottom. And this point at the bottom is the answer, is the answer. In the present time, which is not the thoughts of the past interrupting you, and it's not the thoughts of the future worrying you, it leaves you the time, only one time. In the present time, I am alive. I'm not alive in the past anymore. Get it? I'm not alive in the past anymore. If you're thinking something that's bothering you, if you look closely and it has to do with something that happened this morning or before that, backwards, you know, or you're looking at something disturbing you, it's irritating you, stop for a moment and just peek and see, is it something you're worried about that might happen in the future? Let those go, and what's left is the point of emptiness that Nagarjuna wanted to talk about. It is the point of shunyata, and it's as close to shunyata as we can get. And so then we have the last piece of the conversation. How do we change the outcome of depression? What do you practice? You practice TWIM. You practice the 6 R's or TWIM, however you want to call them. I like to call them TWIM. Tranquil. You're practicing a meditation that takes you to tranquility. And the wisdom in that tranquility is how all this works. Tranquil wisdom, insight. The insights are the discovery that you are powerful. You are not powerless. Well, how am I powerful? I see the component of craving. I see that it is tension and tightness in the mind and in body. You can feel it either way. I let go of that tension and tightness. I let go of it by relaxing my head and taking my mind off it. Just let go and relax. I bring up a smile in place of it. The smile activates the research part of this discussion. Now, the research part of this discussion the discussion basically has to do with bear-based chemicals, okay? In the brain, you are dealing with a set of chemicals that are natural. This is not something you're going to produce, I'm going to tell you how to do it. No, it's not like that. These exist inside the brain. We can look at dopamine, adrenaline, serotonin. They have one called oxytocins that have to do a lot with extra amounts of oxygen. And they know now that all these chemicals that are existing in your brain, they have a purpose. And the purpose hooks directly into what we teach you with TWIM. So what are we talking about when we're talking about TWIM is metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. So our metta is the loving side, loving kindness, and our patience and ability to meet whatever it is that we meet in interactions, to meet it first with forgiving it before we even start. And then metta is the loving kindness, we look at it. And then karuna comes up right afterwards. When you're practicing TWIM, it doesn't take but 3 days, maybe 4, for you to feel how, if you watch what's happening, you'll feel the metta feels strong in the beginning. Then it starts to get weaker, but it's not getting weaker. It's actually changing. It's softening like cotton, very, very, very soft. And that has causes a reaction. So the reaction of these pieces, these 4 little realms, they call them realms, to experience this. And this is what experiencing the beautiful mind is. This is beautiful mind. I'm showing you. Beautiful mind is when metta is active. You will notice you do not have the inclination to be hateful towards something or over angry towards something. You'll feel the difference within a week's time of practice, even before the end of a 10-day retreat. You will feel, you'll come to the teacher and say, something's funny here. I don't feel like being mad at her in the kitchen anymore. I usually, the nuns that I was teaching, they had trouble in the kitchen. And they came to me one at a time, said, I don't feel angry at Maria anymore in the kitchen because I just don't. They don't know why. Because they're putting out metta. Karuna is like, I don't want to trick somebody, or I don't want to, let's see, the metta is no more greed and hatred, and the karuna is basically no more cruelty. So what was cruelty? Cruelty was trying to trick the person into getting into trouble because you make it look like they did something. You don't want to do that either. You stop doing that. We don't know why, but you just stop doing it. This is your reaction, an internal natural reaction by a human being. And then mudita happens, and mudita, some people experience this in a very profound way. They never experienced happiness hitting them suddenly because somebody else did something right. Their happiness was always connected to themselves. So what this is, an old word, altruism. And altruism means I get happy when you succeed. When you play the piano the right way for May, she's sitting there smiling because you all of a sudden played the right way, and she's happy that you did that. That little piece of happiness right there, that's mudita, pure and simple. Upekkha should not be a complicated word. There is a discussion going on right now online. It's so making it so complicated. No, it's not complicated. You know, the upekkha is a balanced mind, but it can mean you came to the temple and you sat down and you didn't move. Like I told you, don't move, just sit quietly. And you did that. That's the first level of equanimity. And then the calmness turns into deeper tranquility. That's the second level of the equanimity. And then the tranquility turns into sukha, which is an internal contentment. And that's another level of equanimity. And then really strong equanimity. We don't talk about somebody's going to help you with it or anything like that. Nobody has anything to do with this except you. And when you have real equanimity, strong equanimity coming in, nothing disturbs you. It just doesn't disturb you. There is no rise in temperature. There's no heat that changes in the body. We can measure these things, and we can measure them on the machines in the hospital. We can measure them in research where the titillation of the skin causes the hair to stand up, blah, 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 things like that. Get real detailed with that to measure these things. Now, one thing about research isn't any good if you can't measure it. That's what I read about research. Research is important when you can measure something. And that's why I like what's happening in science right now. Because right now, what's happening with TWIM is the confirmation that neuroplasticity is real. So what was neuroplasticity? Oh, another word. Another word. The neurosystem is the neurological system, neurological nervous system in the body. Plasticity means flexibility. And up until about 15 years ago, everybody believed if you had a stroke and your synapses were damaged in your brain, that if they died, they wouldn't come back. They could not regenerate. Then all of a sudden they did this research and they found out, wait a minute, it's regenerating. So how does it regenerate? It regenerates. They were proving that the brain can learn. And when you prove that the brain can learn, how does it learn? Repetition. And what kind of repetition? Repetitive repetition that's exactly done the same way again and again. That's how your brain works. So that's how it changes. Okay, so this is the end of the discussion. TWIM is teaching you how to create an experience every day of your life within this existence. You hold the power to paint that experience any color you want. So now you're in a funny place. I'm not sure if it's the right word, but I used to like to use it. Juxtaposition. The juxtaposition I put you in is you're fully responsible for the condition of your life and how each day goes. Can't blame it on anybody else. You have the complete control and power to shape and paint like a little child paints a coloring book when you give it to them. You get to paint every day. And to me, that's terrifically fun because I can have a pink day or an orange day. And I like it when I was in college and they took this orange, they took this really bright orange, and then they added purple to the orange and hot pink. And then they took yellows that were sunlight yellows. And I thought, wow, I didn't know what it meant back then. But now it means something very, very important. You are in charge of your life and you're strong and you're powerful. And all you needed to know was how this all worked. So comments, please. Anybody?
Comments, questions?
Boy, I don't know where Jonathan was in that picture, but that was really beautiful. He was up there in the mountains. Oh my gosh, that is beautiful. Yeah. So the big one is, do you get it? Siddhartha really did find something. And the Buddha comes out of that. That's the thing. This is such a simple teaching you can teach anybody. I can go outside and teach a truck driver. He doesn't know anything about Buddhism. I can teach a truck driver. Yeah, I can teach a friend, a family member, a grandmother or a mother. And by showing them how to change, I'm transforming the survival of the human race on the whole planet. Every time you practice TWIM, the merit that you are producing is immeasurable because you're practicing the discovery that Siddhartha made. How to change your mind and change your life. How to bring peace into the world. That's it. Yeah?
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Very good.
So if you have questions about this, you be sure and tell us, okay? Because the one thing I really like to do is just see if you can counter it. See if you can challenge it. And keep smiling. And whenever you're smiling, remember that smiles are to give away. Smiles are great, you know, they're valuable, but they're worth $1 million if you start giving them away. So always give your smiles away. Okay. Great. Okay. And I'm really happy that you all came. Happy that you want to test this, try it out. And I want to hear about what happens when you do. Anybody have any questions?
I think today nobody has any questions.
I know. Yeah. May, after this is over, I want to talk to you. So stay online, okay? I wanted to talk to you about something, okay? So let's fold our hands and say our prayer and really mean it. May suffering ones be suffering free and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit
that we have thus acquired for the
I'm going
acquisition.
to go blank. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the
acquisition of
for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, Devas and Nagas of mighty power share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
I will see you next time. And all I want to know is you went out and practiced. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, Sister Khema, I'll also call you later. Huh? Okay, bye.